What you gonna do without the great white hope? With them ratings getting low, cat, I really need to know. And how you gonna act? How you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when Caitlyn don't come back? A song, a remix that perfectly encapsulates what's going on right now in the WNBA dump.
The 2025 WNBA awards are about to cause chaos, and the MVP race may deliver the biggest snub in league history.
5 WNBA MVP odds have just been released. A'ja Wilson at 1, Caitlin Clark at 2, Breanna Stewart at 3, and Napheesa Collier 4.
Fans are already buzzing, players are campaigning, and the numbers. They tell a story that's anything but clear. Today, we're breaking down every award, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, and more to show you exactly why these predictions will shock you. So who's really walking away with the league's biggest honors?
People were actually willing to spend money to watch the WNBA. Previously unknown players, they had the chance to become stars if they were willing to let the real star take the lead and benefit from the spotlight that she was providing. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Instead of allowing Caitlin Clark to elevate the league, WNBA players were overtaken with powerful feelings of jealousy. They resented her. They wanted her to go away.
Let's find out. The Most Valuable Player award is always dramatic, but this season, it's a battlefield. Let's start with Napheesa Collier.
If the Lynx win through, I don't see Fee not winning MVP. However, MVP is a lot about what you've done lately. And ironically, I think in the same way that I thought Fee should have been the MVP last year, I also think A'ja should win it by this because A'ja's had a much better second half of the season. The only thing is that Fee Collier did not lose any games by 53 points.
Minnesota's star forward exploded out of the gates, leading her team to a 9-0 start and delivering consistent two-way dominance. She racked up 15 games of 20 or more points, locked down opponents with 13 games of at least 2 steals, and even had multiple 3-block nights. At the halfway point of the season, Collier looked like the frontrunner. But then A'ja Wilson happened. The reigning MVP didn't just close the gap, she blew it open.
The Lynx have played the Aces. Fee has 1,000,000% gotten the better of has gotten the better more often than not of A'ja Wilson. However, yesterday, A'ja Wilson had 31 points on 15 shots and missed 3. Fee had 12 points on 13 shots and was minus 13 in a 10-point loss. I understand Fee was pulled early. I understand that this was game 7 of the finals for the Aces, and this was just another Thursday for the Lynx.
Wilson leads the WNBA in both points and blocks per game, fueling Las Vegas through a 14-game win streak, and she set a WNBA record with 13 30-point games in a single season. That's dominance on a level we haven't seen before. And if you thought this was just a 2-player race, think again. Alyssa Thomas of the Phoenix Mercury is averaging nearly a triple-double.
Alyssa Thomas is going to be starting our all-defensive team. She is a good defender. She's very close to averaging that elusive triple-single. She's probably the best. In my opinion, the second best defender on the best defensive team. She's kind of their defensive anchor, and she's just very, very good on that end of the floor. Offensively, I think she's a liability. I don't rate her as high as a player as a lot of people do, but I mean, a lot of people rate her very, very highly that know a lot about the sport, so I'm probably wrong in this one.
She broke her own record for triple-doubles in a season and surpassed Caitlin Clark's all-time assist record. She's top 6 in assists, rebounds, and steals. Numbers like that are almost unheard of. Here's the question. With Wilson smashing records, Collier elevating her team, and Thomas rewriting history, who's getting the MVP crown? And who's getting snubbed? If you thought MVP was messy, wait until you hear about Defensive Player of the Year. Collier, Thomas, and Wilson are all in the mix again. Collier is the reigning winner. Thomas anchors Phoenix's gritty defense, and Wilson blocks everything in sight. Each of them ranks top 20 in defensive win shares, proving they're carrying their teams on that end. But there's a twist. Minnesota's Alana Smith has quietly been the defensive engine behind the Lynx.
Smith again. Somebody's got to cool her off. She is in double figures inside Smith again, and she is just killing Seattle. Great point. Alana Smith for a career high, and she's got it.
She's third in blocks, adds more than a steal per game, and her impact doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. When Collier went down with an ankle injury, it was Smith who kept the Lynx's defense #1 in the league. So who takes it? The superstar names voters can't ignore, or the underrated anchor who deserves her flowers. This one might be too close to call, and fans are already bracing for controversy. Now let's talk about the award that celebrates growth. Most Improved Player. Golden State Valkyries guard Veronica Burton is the runaway choice.
Back Bentley offensive rebound. Burton, the dagger!
Before this season, she was a role player, averaging just 2.7 points. This year, she's exploded to 12 points per game, leading the expansion Valkyries in scoring, assists, steals, and even blocks. She's 5th in the WNBA in assists and has carried Golden State to the playoffs after their lone all-star went down with an injury. Burton didn't just improve, she transformed into the heartbeat of an entire franchise. That's the kind of leap that changes careers forever. And then there's the 6th Player of the Year award, and it's a dogfight. Atlanta's Naz Hillman and Minnesota's Natisha Hiedeman have been trading blows all season. Hillman is averaging career highs across the board, rebounding at an elite level, and finally showing her offensive growth. But Hiedeman has been on fire lately, dropping 22 points per game in her last 3 outings. Right now, Hillman seems to have the edge. But with numbers this close, don't be shocked if the voters go the other way. Now let's get to the award everyone's been waiting for, Rookie of the Year. Dallas Wings star Paige Bueckers entered the league with sky-high expectations, and somehow, she's exceeded them.
Cunningham, aggressive. The 28-year-old in her 7th year out of Missouri.
Yeah.
And from the outside, count it.
Paige Bueckers, the most proficient shooters from three-point landing. Nice pickup by Stephanie White.
As you mentioned, 27 last game. Bueckers left to play in the half. Bueckers in traffic, backs up. Does it go? Oh my goodness.
Despite missing 8 games with injury, she's still ranked 5th in the WNBA in scoring, 8th in assists, and 5th in steals. She's the only player in the entire league to rank top 10 in all 3 categories. And she's not just putting up numbers, she's making history. Bueckers became the first rookie ever to score 40 points on 80% shooting. She broke multiple rookie scoring records and won Rookie of the Month 3 times in a row. Yes, Sonia Citrone and Kiki Iriafen have been impressive for the Mystics. But this isn't just a Rookie of the Year campaign. Bueckers already looks like one of the best guards in the league. That's not hype, that's reality. Finally, the coaches. Golden State Valkyries head coach Natalie Nakase has done something we've never seen before. She led an expansion team to 23 wins and a playoff berth in year 1. No superstar, no stacked roster, just pure coaching. That's history. But Atlanta Dream head coach Carl Smesko has his own case. He took a team that won 15 games last season and turned them into a 29-win powerhouse. The Dream had 3 All-Stars and smashed the franchise record for wins. That's the kind of turnaround that cements a coach's legacy. So who takes it? The expansion miracle worker, or the architect of a historic rebuild? Either way, this is one of the most fascinating Coach of the Year races in WNBA history. And here we are. With every award up for grabs, fans are bracing for fireworks. MVP could see a historic snub. Defensive Player of the Year is a coin flip. Most Improved in 6th Player come with breakout drama. Paige Bueckers is rewriting rookie history, and the coaching race might be the hardest of all. So here's the bold prediction. MVP, Aja Wilson. Defensive Player, too close to call. Most Improved, Veronica Burton. 6th Player, Naz Hillman. Rookie of the Year, Paige Bueckers. Coach of the Year, Natalie Nakase. If these predictions hold, the WNBA awards won't just shock fans, they'll break the internet. So what do you think? Who's getting snubbed and who deserves the crown? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're still watching, type MVP snubbed in the comments so I know you made it to the end. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the biggest stories in women's basketball.
All right, y'all. Respect everyone. Fear not. nowhere, right? You have earned the right to be in the position that we're in, one game away from the playoffs. You've earned that. We are not going to have to rely on anybody else, right? We take care of our right now. Own it. Every single possession. Every one. It all matters.
Boston destroys Mystics. And this wasn't just a win, it was a message.
I feel like for me, it's just my approach. It's just coming in and just trying to be dominant in anything the team needs. And so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does. I feel like I'm like kind of quiet. Spicy? No, I just know it's spicy. But yeah, I feel like that's just been my mindset, is just coming in and just being the player that I need to be for us.
The Indiana Fever's 94-65 demolition of the Washington Mystics secured their spot in the playoffs. But here's the twist. Caitlin Clark wasn't on the floor. Neither were 4 other key contributors. Yet somehow, Aaliyah Boston didn't just dominate with her game, she dropped a line after the buzzer that had teammates buzzing and fans demanding to know more.
The Fever are officially in the playoffs right now. After a crazy season where, look, I think at the end of the day, not getting a lottery pick is not going to be good. But you know what? I can't be too negative. This team fought.
How did a team gutted by injuries turn heartbreak into a playoff-clinching blowout? And why are Boston's words now being called the rallying cry for this franchise? Stick around, because this is about more than just basketball. The Fever's season was supposed to belong to Caitlin Clark. Averaging over 16 points and electrifying crowds, she had fans believing the postseason wasn't just possible, it was expected. But disaster struck just 13 games in. A torn groin ended her season.
New this morning, ESPN is reporting that Caitlin Clark has injured her groin for the second time this season. Clark left last night's game in the final minute, holding back tears after grabbing at her leg. She just returned back to WNBA action after missing 9 games for 2 other leg injuries. Despite the apparent injury, Clark racked up 14 points and made 4 of 14 shots, helping the Fever take the 85-77 win over the Connecticut Sun.
That single injury would have sunk most teams. For Indiana, it was only the beginning. Sophie Cunningham, gone. Chloe Beebe, gone. Sydney Colson, out. Ari McDonald, out. In total, 5 players, nearly half the rotation, vanished from the lineup. By mid-season, 18 different players had suited up in a Fever jersey. That's not a team, that's a revolving door. Analysts lined up to declare Indiana finished. Playoffs? Forget it. The season was supposed to be over, but instead of folding, the Fever found a new identity. Survival turned into belief. That belief exploded on the road against Washington. The first half was tight. The Mystics came out strong, trading buckets, forcing Indiana into tough looks. Tension built in the arena. With so many stars gone, fans wondered if this would be the night everything slipped away. But then came the third quarter, and the game flipped on its head. The Fever locked down defensively in a way that felt suffocating. The Mystics scored just 9 points in the entire quarter. 9. Every passing lane closed. Every drive met a wall. Indiana's defense didn't just hold, it smothered. From there, the Fever's offense roared to life. The lead ballooned past 20, past 25, all the way to a 33-point margin. Washington wasn't just beaten, they were buried. The box score told part of the story. Natasha Howard led with 17 points, punishing the Mystics inside.
Lobs it, right post, Howard, and one off the backboard. And Howard flexes.
Aaliyah Boston delivered yet another double-double. 12 points, 11 rebounds, controlling the paint on both ends.
And backing down area fence, spins, right-handed baby hook, bow, bow, bow.
Aerial Powers exploded off the bench for 15 points, becoming the spark plug that refused to let the energy dip.
With a double-double, feeds left wing, it's pure for Powers, tongue out with the silly.
Shea Petty, perfect, 3 for 3 from deep.
Petty, corner 3, it's good, in front of the Fever bench.
Lexi Hull dove across the floor for loose balls, turning defense into transition. 5 Fever players hit double figures. That's balance. That's survival turned into dominance. And here's the stat that broke Washington: turnovers. The Mystics coughed it up 22 times, leading to 27 Fever points. Indiana gave it away only 6 times. That's not just winning basketball, that's total control. But the real story wasn't just in the numbers. It was in the voice of Aaliyah Boston. After the game, she told her teammates, "Never doubt yourself and what you're capable of."
Did you guys feel like this was always possible to make the playoffs? Did you ever have moments of concern or doubt? And what allowed you guys to just keep, the eyes on the prize more or less? Yeah, I think, just being someone in this locker room, you never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens. I think the entire staff, up to the head, just made great decisions when people went down on who to bring in, the type of people to bring in. And that was really our mindset. We never doubted ourselves. We never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. Even if things looked like it got harder, for us, it was about sticking together. And I think through everything, you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor.
Those words hit harder than any rebound. Fans echoed it on social media. Teammates repeated it in the locker room. It wasn't just a mantra, it became their identity. Picture that post-game scene. Sweat-drenched players laughing, emotional, celebrating the franchise's first playoff berth since 2016. TikToks were made, smiles were everywhere. But Boston? She made sure the celebration didn't erase the mission. She reminded everyone the job wasn't done. Next game Tuesday, playoffs ahead, fun mixed with focus, the perfect balance of joy and leadership.
How would you describe the locker room after the game today, just being able to celebrate? Well, we did make a TikTok, so I think everyone is just super excited. Like you said, it hasn't been a perfect road. And so for us, it's enjoying the little moments while at the same time understanding we have another game on Tuesday and then we have to prepare for the playoffs. But I think just being in the moment and being where our feet are and kind of just enjoying this one.
That's why fans are calling her the anchor. If Caitlin Clark is the spark that grabs headlines, Boston is the foundation holding this house together. And on this night, that foundation destroyed the Mystics. Here's the climax. What looked like the Fever's downfall might actually have been their greatest blessing. Without Clark, Cunningham, McDonald, Colson, and Beebe, the team had no choice but to grow. Depth was forced. Leadership was discovered. Grit became identity. Boston's double-doubles kept stacking, 17 this year alone, breaking the franchise record. She now owns 41 in just 2 seasons. But more important than numbers, she gave her teammates a belief system. Never doubt. Play with joy. Stick together. And that belief turned heartbreak into a 29-point demolition. Now, the Fever head into the playoffs as the 7 seed, guaranteed their first home playoff game in nearly a decade. The matchups are brutal: Atlanta, Las Vegas, or Phoenix. All 3 are dangerous. But Indiana has already taken games from them this season, with this same short-handed roster. Suddenly, nobody wants to face the Fever. Because here's the big question. If this team can do this with half a roster, what happens when they're whole again? Aaliyah Boston didn't just dominate the Mystics. She destroyed the narrative that the Fever couldn't survive without Caitlin Clark. Her words became the rallying cry of a team built on resilience. And now, the WNBA has a problem. Because Indiana isn't just in the playoffs, they're coming with a chip on their shoulder. If you're fired up for this playoff run, drop Fever Playoffs in the comments right now. Smash that like button, subscribe for more WNBA breakdowns, and turn on all notifications so you never miss the drama. The Fever aren't done. They're just getting started.
Last night, Caitlin Clark announced she will miss the remainder of the W season. Clark hasn't played since July 15th, dealing with a groin injury. SA, your reaction to Caitlin being shut down?
Let's find out what the rest of the WNBA is going to do in terms of popularity. You've been saying up and down that, whether tacitly or directly, that, she's getting too much shine, even though we respect and what have you. We deserve our shine. Well, now's a perfect opportunity for you to prove that.
Just 72 hours after Caitlin Clark announced her shocking exit, the WNBA has collapsed into chaos.
breaking news, hot off the press. Now, we knew it was going down earlier, bro. Caitlin Clark has just confirmed she is out for the season. Now, where do we go from here? That is where we got to pick up the pieces, bro. She just went online and stated these things. Now, I dropped a video earlier today, kind of detailing everything, going over everything, and letting you guys know that I feel like the front office was doing a bunch of BS with us and not telling us exactly what was going down with Cece. I talked about it earlier. Scott Atkins is going to drop a video pretty much confirming she wasn't coming back.
Viewership is plummeting, ESPN is scrambling, and Stephen A. Smith just went off on live television, blasting Commissioner Kathy Engelbert in front of millions. Fans are furious, players are divided, and the league is staring at its biggest disaster in history.
Then are you willing to admit how stupid it was for y'all not to go all in to elevate Caitlin Clark? And y'all could have reaped the benefits? Higher television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it. But you didn't do it. You didn't want to, rather. You were a bit hesitant and reluctant and resistant to it. So much so you didn't push for her to be on Team USA. So much so you had people like Cheryl Swoops who didn't even want to mention her name.
But the question everyone is asking is simple. How did the WNBA let its biggest star slip away and create the worst crisis women's basketball has ever seen? Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about the survival of women's sports itself. The numbers don't lie. The moment Caitlin Clark walked away, the league crumbled. Games that were pulling in record-breaking viewership just weeks ago are now tanking to all-time lows. ESPN executives are in full panic mode. Advertisers who lined up to cash in on Clark's rising star are suddenly calling emergency meetings, demanding answers. And it's not just about ratings, it's about trust.
I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's through no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balled. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being fourth in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table.
Fans who tuned in night after night for Caitlin Clark now feel betrayed. Like the league never valued the one player who made them care in the first place. Online, the message is loud and clear. If Caitlin Clark isn't in the WNBA, neither are we. On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith put words to the outrage fans were already screaming. He didn't hold back. He demanded answers. He called it a failure of leadership and put Commissioner Engelbert directly in the hot seat. How? He asked. Can you take the biggest star in WNBA history, the one person who carried this league to new heights, and treat her like she's disposable?
But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm, and they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now, the young white girl comes along, and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along.
Smith wasn't just defending Caitlin Clark. He was exposing the WNBA's biggest mistake, failing to protect the one player who single-handedly brought the league into the mainstream spotlight. This collapse didn't come out of nowhere. It was years in the making. And Stephen A. Smith spelled it out. The league had no plan, no protection for Clark on the court, where she was targeted, shoved, and bullied.
The golden child in her second year in the league, who was top 4 in MVP voting last year, the assist leader last year, a galvanizing talent that has done wonders for the NBA. If she is seen to be physically getting abused on a basketball court in a way that is such a clear and flagrant discrepancy compared to what happens to others, that man is not going to say something?
No long-term marketing strategy, even as her games smashed ratings records. No vision for the future, despite seeing millions of new fans tuning in just to watch her play. Instead of embracing Clark's star power, the WNBA leaned into politics, jealousy, and silence. Veterans resented the attention she was getting. Coaches kept quiet while opponents went after her physically. And Engelbert? She stood by and watched as the golden ticket to women's sports slipped right through her fingers. Stephen A. didn't sugarcoat it. He said this wasn't just a WNBA problem, it was a women's sports disaster.
They still had over 2 million views, but they had over 3 million last year. It dropped because she wasn't playing. Now, I told y'all, Candace Parker tried to tell y'all, Rebecca Lobo is trying to tell y'all, the goose that lays the golden eggs, the tide that lifts all boats. Do you know what Gino Auriemma said? He said she's being targeted. I don't remember when Michael Jordan came into the league, guys looking to go out and beat him up.
Caitlin Clark was more than just a rookie. She was a bridge to a whole new generation of fans. Little girls holding up signs in the stands, families watching games together for the first time, ESPN giving the league primetime slots after decades in the shadows. And yet, the WNBA let resentment and egos get in the way. They had the future in their hands, and they tore it up. The backlash has been explosive. Online, fans are vowing to boycott. No Clark, no WNBA has become the rallying cry. Parents who watched games with their daughters are walking away. New viewers who gave the league a chance because of Clark are done. And behind the scenes, ESPN executives are furious. They invested millions into promoting Clark, banking on her to carry the sport into a new era. Sponsors lined up to be part of the momentum. Now, the momentum is gone. Ratings are collapsing. Advertisers are panicking. But perhaps the biggest betrayal is emotional. Caitlin Clark wasn't just an athlete, she was a symbol. She gave young girls hope, inspired families, and made people believe women's basketball could be something bigger. And instead of protecting her, the WNBA exposed her to hostility and disrespect. Stephen A. captured that anger perfectly. He said, "This is a failure of leadership, a disaster from the top down." And he's right. Fans aren't just angry at the league. They feel robbed of the future Clark represented. The truth is undeniable. Caitlin Clark didn't just boost the WNBA, she saved it. She was the heartbeat of the league, the one player who could pack arenas and put women's basketball at the center of national conversation. And now, just days after her exit, the cracks are everywhere. Stephen A. Smith took the gloves off. He said Commissioner Kathy Engelbert failed her. He said the league betrayed the very player who carried it to relevance. And he demanded accountability. Should Engelbert resign? Should the WNBA overhaul its leadership? His answer was clear. This was a leadership disaster, and it started at the top. But the most chilling part of Stephen A.'s rant wasn't about the commissioner. It was about the future. "This isn't just a WNBA disaster," he said. "This is a women's sports disaster." When Caitlin Clark walks away, little girls lose their role model, families lose the bond of watching games together, and women's basketball loses its greatest opportunity in history. So here we are. The WNBA had a golden ticket in its hands, and it tore it up. Instead of building around Clark, it chose silence, jealousy, and politics. Now the fans are gone, the sponsors are nervous, and ESPN is panicking. The league is calling this a wake-up call, but let's be real. The damage is done, the trust is broken, and unless the WNBA finds a way to rebuild, fast, it may never recover. Because this story isn't just about basketball, it's about respect, about how one player carried a league only to be left unprotected and betrayed, and now the whole world is watching the fallout. So what happens next? Can the WNBA survive without Caitlin Clark? Or is this the beginning of the end? Stephen A. Smith made his position clear. Leadership failed, and the league may not recover. But what do you think? Should Kathy Engelbert resign? Should ESPN pull back its support? Or is it already too late? If you believe Caitlin Clark deserves better, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this community, because we're not staying silent. And if you're still watching, drop "Clark deserved better" in the comments to let the world know you stand with her.